In today's video, I'm going to walk you through the ins and outs of blogging. We are going to get into the nitty-gritty of what is a blog and how can you make money blogging. People are always asking me, what exactly is blogging and how do you make money? I've watched a ton of videos dealing with how to blog, and the one thing I think is consistent is that they tell you how to blog, but they don't show you. They don't show you the nitty-gritty, the minute details. They tend to gloss over the basics and assume that you know. I hope that today's video answers some of your most basic questions. This Blogging Bay will be a series of videos on different aspects of blogging. This is a casual coffee chat between friends on what you know, what you didn't know or understand when it comes to blogging. The goal is to make sure you have several aha moments on this journey so that all the puzzle pieces fit together. If you are new to my channel, I am Marvette, the creative genius behind several different blog sites to include Brag Differently, Opulence Manor, 750 Credit Score, and a few newsletters as well. I'll share all the links below to everything, and all the resources will all be listed below. So I run Brag Differently & Company, which teaches women and a few men how to earn, save, invest, live and thrive in a global world through blogging and digital e-commerce solutions and platforms. Before we get started, make sure you hit the big red button, subscribe below, you can't miss it, and make sure you hit the bell so that you can be notified when I upload new videos. So let's go ahead and get this party started. Blogging Bay. Blogging Bay is all about blog and earn. So today we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of blogging, and I'm going to help you to blog your way through life and earn some additional income that actually can sustain you as full-time income. Nitty-gritty. We want to talk about how to jumpstart your blog and other useful blogging tips, what every blogger needs to know and what no one told you. So again, I'm going to walk you through the basic ins and outs of blogging. This is the first in a series on blogging and how to level up your blog so that you can earn a living from blogging. The biggest thing that you need to do when it comes to starting your blogging journey is pre-planning. Before you even start a blog, you need to take the time to research and plan out your blog. You will save yourself a ton of frustration. Your blog is more likely to succeed when you plan out your blog. I cannot stress enough to do not overlook this step. The other thing you need to consider is, are you going to blog as a hobby? Or if you're going to blog to earn money, there's a huge difference. So let's dig into the pre-planning. What do I mean by pre-planning? I see so many bloggers that wake up and they're like, hey, I'm going to start a blog today. They run out, they get a domain name, they, sign up on Wix or WordPress.com or Blogger. And then they haven't done a single iota, not one single thing in terms of pre-planning. So they run out, they get a domain name, and then guess what? The domain name that they chose or the name they chose for their blog, they didn't bother to take the time to see, is that domain name or is that name of your blog a registered trademark that you are infringing on somebody else's registered trademark? So again, you really want to start with the pre-planning process. Take the time and just research information on blogging, similar to what you're doing now. You're watching a video that walks you through the ins and outs. So, before you put out money and start doing stuff that may very well be backwards, take the time to actually study blogging. You will hear me say often, Google and YouTube is your friend. You would not go out and decide to, become a mechanic and not study the ins and outs of how to become a mechanic. Like, it just wouldn't make sense. So the same applies to your blog. You want to make it a point to literally sit down, get a notebook, go out and start your pre-planning process. Ask yourself the following questions. Why do you want to start a blog? What's driving you to want to start a blog? Are you looking for finances, to increase your finances, which is always a good way. But, again, you need to understand, why are you starting this blog? Are you doing this blog because you just want to share your feelings versus you want your blog to be a business? You need to identify, what is the goal of the blog? What's the end result? What are you ultimately trying to get out of your blog? You need to identify things like your niche. Who's going to be your target audience? Who's going to be your target avatar? And then you need to develop a mission statement. And your mission statement is really critical because that is what is going to drive the direction of your blog. So my mission statement for Brag Differently is that I teach women and a few men how to earn, save, invest, live, and thrive in a global world. So your blog articles and the things that you talk about really do need to tie into your overall mission statement. Then you need to determine, what's the tone of voice you're going to use on your blog. As I spoke, I said I had several different blog sites that I run. So how I speak and engage with people on Brag Differently is quite different in terms of how I speak and engage with people, say, on 750 credit score, where I'm giving more informational type of content. So the tone that I use is going to be completely different. The next thing you want to do is you want to set your blog goals literally for the next 6 months to 12 months. Like, we're going to plan out this blog for the next 6 months to 12 months. You have to develop a content strategy for your blog, and you got to put together an editorial calendar in terms of how often are you going to blog? How often are you going to have time to write your content? You got to figure out, how are you going to promote your blog? Are you going to set up social media accounts, things of that nature? You need to come up with a blog name. So you really do want to list anywhere. I tell people, let's start with 5 to 10 solid blog names, and then let's do the research on them, because again, you don't want to put all this time and effort into a blog name only to find out that that particular blog name is someone's registered trademark. You want to check and see, is the domain name, once you've identified your blog name, is that domain name even available? Are the social media channels available? Because you don't want to have a blog that's called, ABC blog. And guess what? ABC at Instagram is, a completely different type of company. So you want to do your research, and you want to try and align all of these things together up front before you get into the nitty-gritty of your blog. So definitely do some pre-planning, do some research, read webinars, videos, so that when you truly launch your blog, you have a good, basic, solid foundation of, this is what a blog is, and here are the steps that I need to take to move forward. So what is a blog? Did you know that a blog, which is the shortening of weblog, is an online journal or informational website displaying information in reverse chronological order, with the latest posts appearing first It is a platform where a writer or even a group of writers share their views on an individual subject, i.e. your niche, right? So let's take a look real quick at what is a blog. Let's open up a couple of blogs. Like I said, we're going to get into the weeds on this one so that you have a full understanding. So let's open up a couple of blogs, and we'll start with my blog site. We'll start with one of my blog sites. So Opulence Manor is a DIY home decor blog. One of the things you'll discover with the vast majority of blogs is that they are pretty much laid out the same way. Like you have your main page, which is, what people come to see when they first come to your domain name, right? But if you really get into it and look through blog sites, you'll discover they all have a very similar layout. Like they all function in the same way. So with your blog, you're going to break your blog up into categories. You're going to have articles that pertain to that particular category. And you're basically giving people information with the end goal. If you're in blogging to earn money, the end goal is to then utilize your blog to bring people to either your services or your products that you sell. So, and a service could be one of your affiliate links, right? So let's use this as an example. I recently wrote an article called 5 Best Vacuums for Hardwood Floors. Let's click on it. We'll get rid of that ad. And as you can see, this particular blog article is all about the top 5 vacuums for hardwood floors. So I wrote an article with the goal being that I hope the end user, the reader, ends up clicking on one of these vacuums. Why? Because if they click on it, it's going to take them to my Amazon Associates account. And if they make a purchase, guess who's going to get paid a commission off of it? I will. So that is the purpose of this particular type of blog style, is that I am sharing articles, good, useful information that people are out here searching on the internet for, searching on Google for, with the ultimate goal being that when you click on something that, you might click through and I may get paid a commission. Let's take another look at, let's just go, let's go to my other, we can go to bragdifferently.co. So I have bragdifferently.co and I also have bragdifferently.com. My bragdifferently.co, which is Brag Differently and Company, that blog site is geared towards teaching people how to blog. It's all about blogging and how to earn money and everything dealing with blogging and e-commerce, the services I offer, the coaching that I provide. But again, you'll see that the basics is still very similar, right? It's still the same. And that if you come down to one of the blog articles, we're now looking at how to make money blogging, top 7 reasons why you should self-host your blog and how to do it, 15 blogging mistakes new bloggers make. So let's click on an article. And again, the goal of the article is that I probably have an affiliate link on here, right? So the goal is that, hey, I'm sharing all this wonderful information. One thing you'll notice on all blogging websites is that, and this is legally required, is you have to do a disclosure on your affiliate links. If you have any way to earn compensation from your website, you need to post your disclosure. But as you guys see, the basic layout is still the same. You got your blog article in the center, and down the right-hand side, we have an area where not only can you put your additional blog articles, but you can run advertisements, the whole 9 yards. Again, the goal being that you will click on something and I will earn a commission off of it. Let's take a look at let's just go on Google real quick. Our favorite friend is Google, and we want to please Google like we do. Like the goal is to be nice to Google so that Google can be nice to you. Let's search for cool gray paint colors. And there's a reason why I picked this particular search. So cool gray paint colors. When you search, you will see that West Magnolia Charm comes up in the top position for 16 cool gray paint colors. In the number 2 position is Opulence Manor, which happens to be my blog site. We rank for the term cool gray paint colors, and we'll talk about these terms later on. They're called keywords. And again, the goal with your blog really should be to drive and get organic traffic. Why? Because organic traffic on Google is life sustaining. You want, like, organic traffic is what feeds the beast. So you want as much organic traffic as possible. So if you click on West Magnolia Charm, you'll see very similar layout. What did I say? That everyone, don't overthink the process. You're going to end up finding a great template, and your website is going to look, in terms of the layout and the formatting, it is going to be very, very similar to everyone else. But as you can see, with this particular search, we come across her website. She's talking about what is a cool gray paint. She has different information. And again, this is a typical blog site. So no matter what you look at as you begin to search and do your research, you're going to realize that, everyone's blog site is very, very similar, and people are all talking and discussing some of the exact same content, right? So even here we have Better Homes and Garden. I outrank Better Homes and Garden. And I want to point something out real quick, because we'll talk about this later on. It may not be in this video, but it will come back up. You can see that they have a domain authority of 83. So that means that they're well trusted, the whole 9 yards. I have a domain authority of, right now on my particular website, of 17, and I still outrank them. Okay, so a lot of times you'll hear people, as you do your research, people will talk about your domain authority and going after keywords, that may be high target keywords. Some of that is very accurate, but as you guys can see, I'm proof that you don't have to have a super high domain authority to outrank some of the big boys. What you do need to do is write incredible, solid content, and you'll find out that content is, in fact, king. Again, to reiterate, content is king. Content is king. All right, so let's jump into the basics. There are 7 basic items that you need to get started. I know they may seem super simple, but at the end of the day, this is all you really need to get started as it pertains to starting your blog. You need a computer, a laptop, or a tablet. I work off of a combination of all of the above. So at my workstation, I have 2 separate computers, a laptop, and my main desktop computer has 2 separate screens. If I could tell you anything extra to get on this blogging journey, would be to invest in an additional screen. It makes it so much easier to be working on one item while you have a screen that, you can see additional stuff. You can drag stuff back and forth. So if you can afford to, definitely get an additional screen. You need internet connection. I do not advise you to try and put together a blog site using a cell phone. You absolutely have to have a computer or a tablet, and you need basic internet connection. You need a domain name. Now, what is your domain name? Think of your domain name as your address. So bragdifferently.com is a domain name. opulencemanor.com is a domain name. 750creditscore.co is a domain name. So your domain name is where people actually can find you. It's literally your physical address on the internet. Next, you'll need web hosting, and there are a multitude of web hosting companies. You can use GoDaddy. You could use indigoblue.co, which is my hosting company. I'm a reseller for GoDaddy. You can use Bluehost. I happen to use Bluehost, and the only reason I haven't switched over to my own domain name or my own service is simply because at this point, I've had Bluehost since day one, and I've not experienced any major problems from it. But normally when you're getting your blog up and running, the hosting companies typically, and I'll share the links below, they give you a nice little discount. So again, you need a hosting company. I would highly recommend that you find a website template. You will see with all of my websites, and this is with me having attended the Art Institute back in the day for web development and graphic arts, and I still used a template. I still opted to use a template, and I use primarily templates from a designer called 17th Avenue Designs, and I'll share the link below. But you want to get a solid website template. Yes, you can go into WordPress, and when I'm referencing WordPress right now, I'm talking about wordpress.org, not .com. So you can go in and try and finagle your way around setting up your own customized design. It is so much easier to get a template that you can then modify that template and still make that template uniquely yours. The next thing you want to get, you also need wordpress.org. So you'll hear people talk about wordpress.org versus wordpress.com. So to be clear, wordpress.org, often called self-hosted WordPress. So when you hear people talk about, oh, you need to self-host your blog site, they are talking about wordpress.org. And essentially, it is the free open source WordPress software that you can install on your own web host to create a website that is 100% your own. So WordPress.com is a for-profit paid service that is powered by WordPress.org software. So they're tied together, but they are in fact two separate entities. So you want to have the WordPress.org dashboard. And when you sign up with a hosting company such as Bluehost, then they automatically connect it all together. So you don't have to go in and do something separate on WordPress.org when you sign up for hosting through Bluehost. Sorry, guys. It's already set up for you, and you're able to log into your WordPress.org dashboard. But I would say approximately 80% of the world's websites, blog sites, the whole nine, are all built using this open source database. Okay, everyone tends to build on WordPress, and I highly recommend that you use WordPress. And again, wordpress.org, not to be confused with wordpress.com. The next thing you need to do is you need to identify your niche, or niche as people like to say. So it could be your niche, but you need to identify it. And in essence, that means, what is your subject? What are you going to talk about on your blog site. You will also hear people say you need to narrow down your niche, right? So that you're not out here blogging about 10 different topics that literally have nothing to do with one another. So you want to narrow down your niche. You don't have to make it so narrow that it can't be found. But again, you do in fact want to narrow down your niche. And the best way to do that is look at your competition. Look at your competition. And not to say that you cannot have a successful lifestyle blog that may cover travel, that may cover finances and food, cooking, and the whole 9 yards. But as Google has continued to do their algorithm updates, what we are seeing with Google is that they are favoring sites that are niched down, that are just, specific about, if you have a cooking site, then everything on your site is geared towards cooking. So again, it's completely up to you. But if it were me, I would probably start a very specific niche site. And then as that site grows and you want to broaden, what you're talking about, or you want to do a more broad lifestyle site, then work on the lifestyle site after that. But I would focus on getting down to a very specific niche. And we'll talk about niche a little later on as well. You heard me say earlier that content is king. Content is king. And if content is king, then SEO is queen. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about content. That at this point, you've decided that, hey, this is going to be my domain name. It's going to be abc.com. And my niche is going to be about motherhood. Okay, so motherhood and motherhood can be so broad. So to narrow down your niche, you might want to talk about motherhood as it pertains to toddlers. Okay, so content is king. So one of the first things you want to do as you are starting your blog and you've done your research. So now we're at the point where, we know what we want to blog about. You want to create what's called a pillar post, or some people will refer to it as a cornerstone post. And all that really is a significant post that your site is well known for. You want to create a post, especially if you could do it off the back, right? Because it's going to drive a ton of traffic to your website. So please understand that when you write a post, it very well could take several months for that post to start ranking and appearing on Google. But you really do want to write a specific post that everybody all over the world, if they're looking for ABC, they come to your website because they know that you wrote a really good article about that particular subject matter. So let's take a look real quick at an example of a pillar post. So let's go into, I think it is Mr. Dean, and is it Backlinko? I think it's Backlinko. Backlinko. If you go to backlinko.com, you will find out that, and this is Brian owns Backlinko, but I do believe, let me be clear, he recently sold his company to another major player in SEO marketing. I can't think of who it is, but it'll come to me and I'll share that with you. So as you come to his website, one of the things that you will see is that he has this pillar post, SEO in 2022, the definitive guide. It is a featured post on his website. Before you do a deep dive into the rest of the website, you see that he has this cornerstone, pillar post that this is what his site is known for, is that he does SEO and gives out SEO information extremely, extremely well. You do need to submit your email address in order to get this SEO guide. So make sure you go to backlinko.com and make sure you download a copy of the guide. But this is what's considered a pillar post. So he has a ton of other stuff on his newsletter or on his website. But again, what he's well known for is that one particular post. So you definitely want to create a pillar post. So as you guys see, if you go into the rest of the blog site, again, he has other articles and the whole 9 yards. But again, that pillar post is key. So think about what you want your website, that one thing that people just really, 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 really know you for. Let me see if I can show you one other Samto. Samto Seeks. So Samto, as you guys can see, and again, take a look at her blog site. She is a travel blogger. She's a travel blogger. But what she went viral for is her articles that deal with travel in Spain. Again, she travels other places and she talks about other things on her website. But that pillar post is literally the ultimate Spain travel guide. Okay, so you want to come up with a pillar post. One of the other things you want to do is as you write, and this is why I say you got to plan out your blog site before you ever officially launch your blog site. And when I say launch, I mean launch in terms of, because you can make your blog site active and you could begin adding content. Because again, it's going to take a minute for it to rank in the Google index, right? So it's going to take a minute for it to show up on Google. It doesn't necessarily mean that you've shared your blog site with the entire world and you're telling people, hey, go to my blog site. And there's a reason why we want to post, but we don't necessarily, outside of maybe family and friends and saying to, those in our circle, hey, can you take a look at my blog site? Tell me what you think of this article. You really want to wait until you have some additional articles before you just, go out there and go wild with it. So that when someone comes to your website and say you wrote an article on cheesecake, you want them to be able to click on an interlink or an internal link that takes them to another article that is maybe you have a regular article on cheesecake, and then you have an additional article on gluten-free cheesecake. Because what you're trying to do is get people to stay on your website as long as possible. So chances are that individual who's looking for cheesecake may also be looking for an article on gluten-free cheesecake or vegan cheesecake. So hence why I then recommend that you write 30 articles in essence before you launch or as you're launching. You want to have these articles up and ready to go. I highly recommend at this point, and I did not have this when I started writing my blog sites, use an AI tool, artificial intelligence, and I'm going to show you what an AI tool can do for you. Okay, when I say that it has come a long way, baby, you can utilize an AI tool to help you write your content. I am not saying that you have to use an AI tool and just let it write your entire article, but can it help you to rephrase some stuff? Can it give you the basic outline on what it is that you want to write? And then you still need to go into that article and tweak it and make it uniquely your own and add your voice to it, add your tone to it. However, when I tell you that you can write an article in under 5 minutes and it will save you so much time with getting your articles and everything together, even if you start out from Jump Street using an AI tool, just for a couple of months to help you get up and running, I highly suggest that you use an AI tool. So let's take a look real quick add an AI to. The one that I use is called Simplified, and I will share that information with you below so that you can see what Simplified looks like. It's simplified.co. I'll share an affiliate link with you so you can test it out. Let's go in here and sign in. And I'm not going to go through all the ins and outs of it. I just want to show you real quick, like how quickly you could go in here and write an article. So we're going to jump into content writing. We are going to go to documents and we want to get started. So you have the option of starting from scratch. You can use some templates to help you get started. And you can also use a full blog writer. So let's go into launch a blog writer. You select how do you want your tone. Earlier you heard me talk about the tone of how you write. So let's select joyful, and we're going to make the topic 10 things to do when starting a new blog. And we're going to generate, and hopefully we won't have any snafus or anything during this process. So as you see, it came up with a couple of different results. Choose a catchy name for your blog, set up your hosting, 10 ways to make your new blog stand. Let's choose this one, 10 ways to make your new blog stand out from the crowd. And we want to continue. And here we want to put in keywords. So because I know a little bit about blogging, I'm going to use some keywords, and I'm going to put in blogging, hosting, keywords, SEO, things to do with a new blog. Let's just see what happens. We'll hit the generate button. Now, I've tested out a couple of different versions of different AI tools, and I ended up going again with Simplified, but I will share all of the information with you in the links and stuff below. So as you can see, this is what it then generated for me. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to select the second one, and we're going to hit continue. And we're going to tell it to generate. So in less than 5 minutes, we literally have generated. We have actually generated our article. So let's see what happens. It takes a few minutes, Boom. Just like that, you have a full-fledged blog article with 690 words. And pretty much what I would then do with this is I would go in and I would modify it, right? So we want to start, and again, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I do want to, give you an example that is giving you this list, is telling you like, hey, and these are some of the things that I actually talked about already and that we'll talk about as we move forward. So it's telling you, hey, you got to find your niche. So establish your blog's purpose. Before you do anything else, you need to establish the purpose of your blog. What is the niche? What are you going to talk about? But let's say that I want to talk about an additional thing let's just say I want to talk about specifying a specific niche. I go between niche and niche, okay? So we want to specifying a specific niche. Niche sounds so fancy. I could tell it to write a section. I can also tell it to, if I had this section, I could tell it to rewrite. But in this case, I want to tell it to write more on specifying a specific niche. and you just highlight it and hit the run command. Now, it's not perfect, so every once in a while, it will give you a paragraph and some wording that does not necessarily make sense, or that within the context of what you're trying to talk about in your blog article, it just may not be applicable. It may apply to something else. So you do need to go through this entire article and tweak it, and again, make it your own voice. But as you saw, it then wrote out, when it comes to choosing a niche, it is important to be as specific as possible. This means that you should have a clear idea of who your target audience is and what they are looking for. Only by defining your niche in this way will you be able to create content that appeals to them and ranks well with them in search engines. So again, literally in under 5 minutes, I got a whole blog article. Now I'm up to 752 words. And normally what I try to do is, when I'm working in AI, is to get it to where I'm at 1,500 words, because at 1,500 words, I will go ahead and publish this specific article, even if it means that later on, I'm going to, and again, I'm going to fix, anything that's wrong in here, and put it into the, the layout of the blog site, but I can always come back and add additional content. So the one thing I see a lot of bloggers do, or new bloggers do, is that they get frozen. They think that they need to have a 3,000-4,000 word blog post. It's great if you do, but that is not necessary. What you need to ensure is that your article, your blog post, has really good content. And again, you can always come back and add additional stuff to your blog post. But I would at this point actually publish this. Why? Because it's going to take a minute for you to show up in the rankings on Google. So you got to give time for Google to do what Google does and start ranking your article. And again, you can always come back and add additional content. So this is simplified. I'll leave the link below. Definitely take a look at it. But if you're trying to get your blog site up, jump started, and out the gate, then definitely utilize AI to help you do that. So I'm going to save this as things to do when starting. Let's just update it, and then we'll get out of here and we'll go back into our presentation. So this will help you to write. I know 30 articles seems like a lot, but you just saw me do an article in under 5 minutes. So you can do you could sit down over a good weekend and boom, you got all 30 articles done. I know, because I've done it already. Okay. So use AI tools to assist you. The second thing is that you got to write solid articles. At the end of the day, you want to outrank whoever your competition is, right? So the goal is use your competition, use them as a meter, and just write better content. That is why my article on cool gray paints is outranking Better Homes and Garden. I wrote a better article. So there are things you can do to make sure that, you follow the rules of SEO and write better content. That's the goal. So I want you guys to write that down. Content is king and SEO is queen. Write better content.